Dear colleagues, we continue. In our next presentation will be on the topic of how efficiently get protected from the targeted attacks, and Sergey Osipov, the head of the business development, will share about that. He's from the Positive Technologies company. Alexander, thank you, dear colleagues, thank you. And I would like to welcome all of our online audience. And today I would like to share with you about our integrated solution by the Positive Technologies. It's Anti-APT, protection from the targeted attack. This is the integrated solution that has a server part and the product part, and it tackles a lot of the issues related to targeted attacks, purpose attacks. But let's talk about this whole issue of APT. What do we have, and who is standing behind of that, and what kind of the risks and so forth. And I think all of you have seen this whole topic, because every week we can see, or we can open anti-malware, Security Lab, Investia, Kommersant, or Lenta.ru. You get information. As for the main international cyber incidents, we can see there are plenty, especially during this kind of lockdown situation. I mean, the attackers are having a very big impact. They're breaking and encrypting data of different companies. They're stopping the production or uploading this data. And for example, in 2020, we've seen the attacks on such big companies like a Canon, where the encryption program stopped and paralyzed their web services for 6 days. Speaking about the sport issue, we know that in Garmin, the Garmin company had a very big malfunctions when the smart wearable devices could not work properly, but this could be like a customer service. But when the pilots in the USA could not fly because their navigation maps would not be uploaded, this would be the big blow to many companies. And also the logistical business can remember the Myers, attack against the Myers, with encryption program, and these kind of attacks are ubiquitous. They impact many industries, and they're quite safe. That I would not say that we have to be relaxed and sit on our hands in this situation. Let's talk about the anatomy and defining the advanced persistent threats and how it's different. The first thing we can see that this APT is being prepared by the very specialized professionals, and it could be distributed in time and has different stages, and you can see the main 4 main stages. Based on the methodology, there could be more stages, could be about 20 stages of this attack, but mostly this could be the investigation, collecting information about a potential threat, what kind of software they are using, what kind of computers they have in the system, and what kind of IT systems they have, what are their users, and what is the level of their cyber literacy. All this information is collected to move to the next stage, is implementing, breaking the external perimeter and increasing privileges, horizontal movement, and finally achieving the goal, monetization, and erasing their traces to get rid of possible investigative potential. Now, what is important? What is important that we have a global trend that those attackers, they get established in the infrastructure and spend a lot of time. And Alexander has been saying today that the confirmed time of the attackers being within the company on average was not even dozens of days, but hundreds of days. About 200 days on average, the attackers, the hackers, can bypass the attentions of the information security system, and they could do whatever they wanted within the company. Another example of how those attackers could get into the system, they move along this system and they achieve their goals. You can see it in many methodologies, but I would identify 2 main methodologies. When we do the risk analysis, this could be Lockheed Martin, quite a famous company, especially in the it's a cyber kill chain, when all this attack could be split into 7 stages. First would be the intelligence, preparing the so-called the malware for the intrusion, delivering this malware, exploiting vulnerabilities which have been found during the intelligence, installing this software, connection to command centers of the of the attackers to pass on the commands and achieving the goals. And the goals could be different for this attack. Stealing valuable information. This would be the cyber espionage in case of industrial companies. This could be blackmailing of a company. It could be ordered by the competitors. And this could be compromising of a company. Or if we're speaking about the government structures, these could be compromising governments. Now, what is important to know? Each quarter, our company, Positive Technologies, that is publishing a very detailed report about the cyber incidents in our clients' infrastructures all over the world. And this is what we are seeing. Number one, that the number of attacks all in all have grown, basically by 60% compared to the same period of 2019. The number is huge, and it can be explained by the fact that many companies have moved into remote working, which has huge risks in information security. Their perimeter has been diluted, and now this perimeter can be purely theoretical. And secondly, we can see increasing number of attacks on the public segment and on the industrial segment as well, because right here we can tell that well, the public segment in our country, unfortunately, in many companies, it's more about the paper safety than the physical safety. In the industrial sector, during the crisis, we can also see a lot of specialized vulnerabilities through which you can implement the attack vector or to deliver the malware. And also, now we can see the huge exploitation of the whole pandemic topic, coronavirus, things like that. Oftentimes, the phishing attacks could be the part of the email campaigns and attacking the medical institutions, especially those which are involved in the medical research against coronavirus infection. Now, what we have to identify about the cause and effect. This could be the risk model, which we cover when we talk with our clients and customers. Number one, when we have business meetings with the potential customers, sometimes they think, oh, well, we're fully protected, or we're not of any interest for the attackers. So we can identify about 5 to 6 main bullet points, which can be applied to basically any customers. Stealing confidential information, reputational risks which company may have, and the full stop of business processes. These are the things related to monetary issues. Even reputational damage could be reflecting financial risk in the sense that the company's shares may be falling, and your potential clients may not join you knowing about the cyber incident. Or when your employees, when they choose the next employment, they can leave for your competitors. And research of 2019 has been done. We've asked our clients and customers what were the problems, especially the departments of the information security. And the same risks had been actualized, like the leak of the confidential data, the infrastructure downtime, and the substitution of data, those encrypting programs I've been speaking about, and of course the reputational damage and financial risks when the money flow would be redirected. Now, what are the main threat vectors Ksenia shared in her presentation before me in Alexei Vishnikov, and I'm going to repeat myself and I'm going to expand my presentation. You can listen it later. What are the issues of the IT security personnel whenever they're investigating the attacks? Over 90%, according to multiple research, including ours, those remote malware may end up in the infrastructure via attachments to email. It's an email channel. People write letters. Then they put the malware URLs in the body of the message. The next case, when the malware would be placed on the web resources, and in this case, the attackers may actually reach very serious attack. They can substitute pages and web resources and to place malware in the unsuspecting users using the so-called valid link, and they actually download those malware, which may be detonating, and the next stage is implementations of the this kind of attack, this APT, Advanced Persistent Attack. Sometimes these companies may have or may attack the branches. They may attack through the suppliers, supply attack chain, and using known vulnerabilities, which are known. This could also be one of the main attack vectors. Another research which has been done by our company in 2020, this could be polling respondents, the clients and customers of our companies about the current situation. Why advanced persistent threats are successful, and these are the numbers. About 30% of the respondents, they've told us that the company basically does not have any training about the fundamentals of cybersecurity, meaning that many employees, when they come to the company, they do not have any IT training. They do not have any skills of working online. They're opening all the letters, all the attachments. They're following the links. They download whatever they want on the internet. They may be installing on their machines some corporate set of software, if they have the rights, and so forth, and you name it. So basically, their digital behavior is unacceptable. Another point which is becoming much more critical, almost 40%. They are not fully confident in the right qualifications of the information security professionals. I believe in Russia, the IT security is developing industry. We have a lot of questions. We have a lot of question marks of the training, education quality of those who are in information security. Sometimes the information security is about the paperwork circulations. And again, when people in the fields, they're facing real threats, sometimes they cannot identify, fend off, and even investigate them. They cannot do it. And another point, it's about those respondents who have some experience. They say that in their companies, they have zero tools of doing forensics or cyber investigation. Like if in their company they have some cyber incident which has been confirmed, they do not have any tools to trace the whole chain of how this cyber incident happened. What hosts have been affected, how these attackers have been working, and what is the current situation. Like they do not have the zero trace, and those IT security guys, they can actually have to go to the news. They do not know what to do. Why the perimeter protection is not enough. It's a point of heated debates and discussion, and I believe you may be aware that there are many budgets for the IT security are spent on the perimeter defense. It's okay story because the number of the mass attacks is huge, it's ubiquitous, and you have to defend yourself from those attacks as well as against APTs. But if you do any pen test, you will identify that when you do it, the right pen testers, they can go through perimeters in 1 or 2 operations, meaning that basically that any prospective hacker can do the same, even though it may be slower. Behind the perimeter, they are inside of the infrastructure with certain rights. This could be just their regular user rights, and then the attacker has to increase their rights until the privileged rights and get more and more nodes and so forth, or they can get access to the purpose host and then to download information. This could be the two main scenarios of how the attackers may be behaving in the network. If they get the privileged rights, the domain controller, of course, the whole system could be compromised, and here the clients have the real big trouble when actually they do not manage their own infrastructure anymore, and everything is given into the hands of the attackers. It's all at the mercy. They are at the mercy of attackers. Whether they could be the ransom or maybe this data could be resold on the black market, so they can do whatever they want. And the second aspect is about the ongoing access to the interesting information. What the attackers, once they're behind the perimeter, and they're undetected, they can just download this information day and night, months, and even sometimes years, and monetize this information on the black market. Why? The current tools may not be enough, because we have the control systems of the endpoints. We have CM systems, which register a lot of events, but primarily we're speaking about the very long and maybe eternal struggle between the good and bad guys. And those CM systems, again, they're limited by the sources of events like antivirus and the firewalls. They can be blind to a lot of the malware, which would be the target-specific malware, and also a lot of events from the power view can actually misguide CM, and this could be analyzed only by the deep traffic analysis. Speaking about the anti-APT, in general, anti-APT, I believe that this term, I would like to apologize before the marketers, this term has a strong marketing connotation because many vendors and many clients think their own idea of anti-APT. So I would like to tell you about some partial, approaches in our progressive approach, the positive technologies approach in anti-APT. And when I hear this question of how we defend ourselves about the anti-APT, well, the clients are saying that we have a sandbox and we're fine with this sandbox. Or they're telling that, okay, we have the IDS or IPS involved in all of that. But nevertheless, can we go back one slide and we can identify that even perimeter tools and the file analysis tools may not be enough, because when we talk about sandboxes, we have a lot of no-file attacks, and in terms of perimeter attacks, they do not implement the mechanics of the horizontal movement. If the hackers are inside of the perimeters, then IDS and IPS are outside of the scope. What do we suggest in these kind of scenarios of attacks? Of course, we are proposing to consider the technologies of the deep traffic analysis, see what's going on in each session, to analyze, to use the cutting-edge technologies in IT security to collect this data, aggregate, and then to break them down in terms of possible malignant use. And all the files which will be going through the critically important channels for a company. Usually, the InfoSec guys, they usually know what kind of channels may be used. And behavioral analysis. In addition to the signature ways, we have to use the behavioral analysis to get defended from the zero-day vulnerability and against the malware which may be written for the specific workstation or specific system. What our anti-APT solution looks like in real life. It has three main pillars: positive technologies, network attack discovery. According to the Gartner methodology, it's an NTA system which identifies the signs of the attacks in the network traffic, both external and internal. Its next would be the positive technology sandbox solution, which puts the files in the isolated virtual environment and gives a verdict about their cleanliness or illegitimacy. And our expert security center by the positive technologies is a huge team of our analysts, researchers, who are complementing the information security customers team when working with our solutions or having their own information protection system. When there is a lack of competences and not enough hands, when the company could be a target for an attacks, our colleagues will take the goal of monitoring and anti-APT. You can also do the forensics. If there is a cyber incident, the colleagues will unwindle all this, like what has happened in your company. And let's talk about each of these solutions before I will tell you how they work all together. NTA, like Natalia Kazarkova has been sharing about that very detailedly about that. And I would agree with her that NTA would be one of the most important elements of the quality of the security operational center. Now, for about 2 or 3 years, we have a huge number of enterprise customers that are on the stage of building their own security operations center. And unfortunately, the market was thinking that the SOC would be simply about the team of analysts and CM system. It is not that. And on the previous slides, I've been sharing just that we have some sources of events. So that's why it's important to implement endpoint detection and response and the network traffic analysis. So this NTA system, we have our own NTA system. It's one of the best in Russia, best in class. And using this system, we decompose each session. We are looking at the protocols. We are process them with our own rules and finding some anomalies and some unsanctioned actions and some signs of compromise in the system. While the second thing, it's positive technology sandbox. Why you need it? Once again, if the code is written for a specific company, I mean the malware, or for a specific industry, exploiting some vulnerability, and Alexei has been sharing a lot about that, which we can actually catch with our sandbox right now. This malware should be detected at a certain tool. Unfortunately, not even one or second or third detects will be enough. And you have to involve another third stage, which will be behavioral analysis, which will be a virtual environment, which will be protected from bypassing. Now, how does it work in general sense? If a certain level of traffic is getting into the company's perimeter, this traffic will be forwarded for the monitoring into the network discovery. And NAD is analyzing the traffic in terms of threats. This would be the index of compromising, the set of rules, and some preset reputational lists according to this network device. If in this session we have identified some transmitted files, then in PT Sandbox we can install it as one of the sources of these files. So when you catch the session, the file will be sent in the PT Sandbox for analysis. Then it will be checked by the 3 antivirus engines, stat analysis, and then it will be processed by the Positive Technologies Expert Security Center, written by our own expert center, and then it will be placed in the isolated virtual network with the customization possibilities to do the behavioral analysis. Right after that, the InfoSec officers will get a very detailed response in which they can see the result of this operation according to this file, and they can issue a verdict. And this could be also done in automatic mode and passed on back to the NAD to show whether this session was legitimate or illegitimate. If there is a lack of expertise on the side of the customer, we can significantly enrich it with our monitoring professionals, or to get connected once in a while to this solution, let's say once a week or once a month, depending on what business processes this company would like to defend. So, a couple more words about each of these solutions. APT Network Attack Discovery NTA system identifies the external attacks like IPS, IDS, and within the network. A lot of supported protocols it has now, about 70 protocols. It basically gives you the full understanding of what's going on in the traffic. We are dealing with the protocols on the level of L7. We can see what is happening in each session. We can see the attachments, and based on that, it looks like this solution plays the role of a huge magnifying glass for the SIEM analyst. It gives them the transparent picture of what is going on in their infrastructure. And the value of the system is all the way from the pilot project, which you can use as one of the elements of doing the network safety audit. And of course, using a lot of tools, like I've mentioned before, and the rules and so forth, this would also show you about 50% of different techniques and according to the Mitre ATCK methodology. This is what we've been saying before about the stages of the APT. With NAD, you can actually identify these dozens of these tactics. We can limit their relocations and signal about an incident. And of course, NTA system, they give the Security Operations Center detailed information about the signal integration. I'll have a separate signal, and actually NAT is very important for increased transparency of what is going on in your network, and also what the clients will get if they buy this solution when they do the pilot projects and when they do implementations and operations of this solution. And of course, right away you cut off any scaled horizontal movements of the hackers, because you analyze all these sessions within your structure with all the critically important nodes, and NAD can see the threats in the encrypted traffic and see the connections of different nodes with the automatically generated domains. So whenever you have the substitutions of the domain addresses for communication with the command centers of the attackers, I think I'm confident that with each pilot project, we can find some critical violations of the InfoSec security. There could be passwords and logins can be offline in the open access. I'm not even speaking about the other ways. We can have the deployment. We can see the deployment of all the seemingly legitimate and illegitimate tools, miners, Tors, team viewers for the remote access, and you name it. And which of them is legitimate or illegitimate, you have to look into that as a part of our investigation. And using a lot of rules, we can identify the wide hacking toolbox for the horizontal movement within the system. We are looking into the external exploitations of vulnerabilities in your network. When we have a scanning or certain vulnerability coming from the outside. And also we're looking into the activity of the malware, and due to the fact that Anti-APT system is storing all the traffic for whatever period is needed, you can have a certain proof, and if there is an incident, and you can do retrospective analysis of this traffic to implement a certain attack proof or investigation. So what do the customers get? They can see the transparent activities of the attackers. There is a quality integration with different protective means, CMs and sandboxes. You can identify various malware, like what was saying before. If there's a lack of competences or experience with the customers, with their IT security department, we can also provide necessary support. And this is the slide. This is a slide dedicated to the integration with the CM systems. During this remote lockdown time, we have the safe lockdown platform, because our analysts have identified a huge number, the big surge of these malignant activities when many companies moved into the pandemic mode. Now, what is happening right here, those users using the VPN servers may be connecting to the internal structure of the company, and it's important to understand a couple of things. Number one, is it the right user connecting, or maybe their login data have been compromised and captured and so forth? And secondly, could this user bring into the infrastructure something negative like the malware, or to violate some information policies or something like that? Next would be the VPN server activity logs. They're getting into the Max Patrol CM, and the copy of the traffic from the commuter would be sent to the sensor for the deep analysis of each session. We can get a lot about the session, what kind of users, what was happening, like where they were connecting from to the internal infrastructure. Maybe their credentials have been compromised, at what time of the day or night, during the working hours, non-working hours, to do high-quality investigation. And also for the governmental clients, this means it has been certified by the SAO4. We are compliant to the governmental degree of 235 to 48. PT Sandbox, it's another solution. The Sandbox class solution, much has been already mentioned in the previous presentation, but I'm going to reiterate how are we different from our competition. Number one would be that we have multi-stage analysis of each file. We have a statistical analysis and analysis by our own rules, and the quality behavioral analysis. And speaking of that, I mean right customization capabilities when the workstation has the similar image to the Sandbox with the same set of virtual machines, operational systems, the software with keeping its agility. And on the virtual machine, we will work out all the main type of threats which may be represented for this workstation. And for the customers, this may be important for those who are implementing certain scenarios to protect their corporate mailbox, the file exchange, or safe web browsing or access. And all these scenarios are the main for our mailbox, and they'll also be attached to the full license. The part of the full license, you can actually implement them. Right after our clients will implement the full set of implementing the positive technologies science APT, they will get protection for the main channels. This would be the traffic channel, this would be the safe file exchange, and also in terms of the expertise and operation of these solutions, our clients will get through our services a very deep expertise and for our products and for different means of protection. Now the information which will be very good for our partners which are promoting our solutions. It's a separate slide on the customer profiling, and Ksenia also mentioned in her presentation, and maybe it'll be a small overlap. Once again, of course, these are the clients which have the budget for the APT, and they know why they need to get protected from the APT. They have certain maturity in information security, and they know that they need to make a first or following step. Another category of clients, those who have already had some kind of incident or series of incidents, who are planning to do all kind of investigations of this and would like to protect themselves from these incidents. And we, of course, would like to know that this kind of cases, if you know that the customer has some kind of competitive solution, they've been thinking about the APTs and anti-APTs, but then they decided to put it on stop because they did not have the good solution. And so forth. So we are willing and ready to help you with our products and with our services. And also another interesting case when our customers, they have some set of software from positive technologies companies. And in this case, we'll be happy to show our quality integration with our own other solutions and to build this kind of ecosystem of our products in information security. And of course, the magic 3 letters security operations center, all the clients who are on the stage of making a choice, be it commercial, their own operations center, we kindly ask them to pay attention to our solution. And also another goal which our customers have and the partners have who are selling this kind of solution. Like if you bought it, dependent on where you are, on which side you are, what will be happening next? Number one would be maybe the client already has some kind of sandbox and we're coming with our approach, applying to their NTA system, and this could be like a product-related case, or maybe the customer is building integrated information technology safety, security, and then the APT will be like a separate bullet story. When we work with our major federal level customers, we're part of their information security strategy. We can be a consulting company and we can plug in our products. And also like before this implementation of Anti-APT or after, you may think about other CM systems which may be implemented right after NTA to make sure that NTA would be just one of the sources of the events, like ADR and others. Of course, when you buy a lot of different malware protection software, it's a certain burden in terms of the hardware capability, like server capabilities for the kernels and the data storage, also for traffic storage, for the capability of the retrospective analysis. And in this case, this whole situation about the hardware part is a valid concern. And in case you scale up, you also have to do it every year. And also for the partners which provide their own proprietary services to monitor events, to implement the support measures or the incident response and investigation, they can also buy our products or just sell them to their clients and then to provide the services on their own capabilities. And we're like a vendor, we give a lot of education to the customers who would like to plan to operate our products, and also for the partners who will be playing the role of doing pilot projects and right implementations and operations. And also on the separate case, in another case of selling the APT class solutions, these will be different contracts for the audit according to different requirements, and pen tests are actually very good if you combine them with the NTA systems, because they can tell you that in NTA you can actually see what kind of tactics the hackers can use in the NAD. And by the way, it's a pilot project which is combining the elements of the pen tests and the network activity monitoring with the deep traffic analysis. It can tell you of why you need to use PT. And also the last bullet is the education, because in each company the weakest link would be users, and the users are on the cutting edge, on the front edge, not even of protection but of the attacks, which may get all this kind of phishing messages and letters. They get all kind of attacks through social engineering. And just how well the users understand what is happening around them and how to react to certain things, this may define of how the organization will be defended. How can you try this solution? On this slide, I'm saying that the pilot projects may take 1 to 2 months on average, and you can go to our managers and we will sign the whole set of documents. It takes 1 or 2 days, and then we'll connect the sources and components in the customer's infrastructure, just as long as you have the remote access capability. We use our partners if needed, and then monitor infrastructure and see how our solution is working all these events which are happening in the network. And then after the specified period, we upload at least 2 types of reports. First will be a technical report with a list of events in information security and some incidents, so that the local cybersecurity department would understand of how this solution can be helpful to them when do the monitoring of different events. And secondly, this would be the presentation. Usually it's aimed at the InfoSec service of the company as well as the company's management. We show the value of this solution in terms of risk model when a certain event could potentially result in a crash of the company. Speaking about reputational risks and financial risks and risks of disruption of business processes. And right after that, within the company, a decision is made of whether to continue the cooperation. All in all, Alexander and dear colleagues, I think this would be the end of the content of my presentation, and I would be very happy to answer any questions from the chat. Thank you very much, Sergey, for a very informative presentation. Let's look at any questions which we may have right now. The question number 1, since 2013, many public customers have replaced Windows systems with Linux kind of systems. And there is an opinion that this would be the most protected operational systems, and this will be a more democratic model of the information security. Would you agree? And do you think that the models of the threats for Windows and Linux are similar or much different? Thank you for your question. As for the Linux systems, especially attached to the endpoint systems, we have been speaking about that even in last year, because in terms of the models of threats and the profile of the perpetrators, according to our expert centers, they basically coincide with the model of threats for the Windows systems. What does it mean in practice? In practice, that the Linux users, they are also in dangers from the hackers, just like the Windows users, simply because all in all, the share of the Linux systems and their users is small compared to Windows. This niche is not yet exploited by the hackers, but this does not mean that it is not happening. And at one of our roadmaps for sandboxes, we are planning next year to actually say that Linux-based systems will be supported, at least those which are represented in many public customers of our country, so that they would also be protected from the APTs with a malware. And of course, in terms of the networks, I think Linux and Windows are showing the same passwords or transferring the same passwords. Yes, in terms of sessions and NTA systems, it's all the same. Unfortunately, things go back and forth in terms of like personal passwords and stuff. Like I was asking this question to your colleagues, of course, for information security officer, one of the most important elements would be protecting projects, like to tell to their management of why they should allocate money for such a project. But later on, the attitude to the information security is the attitude like, okay, we've given you money and I'm feeling like I'm safe, but at the same time, I do not know like whether my business benefited or not from that. In your point of view, what kind of report could be useful to prove to the senior management of the company that they have spent their money not in vain for these kind of security products? And how do you build this communication process with the senior management of the company? It's a good, I would say it's a philosophical question a little bit, because unfortunately, many information security guys, they're so bogged down in this kind of a routine of operating their capabilities. They do not have neither energy to motivation to go to the management and to show this like a daily, day-to-day work that they're doing. But actually, it means that the business does not see the value of this kind of information security service. They do not get the feedback from the money they've invested in the InfoSec. And probably on the next year, they will fund it in the same level, or maybe even cut down the importance, because the hackers may have more sophisticated tools, and all of our solutions enables you to upload a lot of detailed reports on the incidents and events. And working with incidents, it's important to show this kind of risk kind of case when a certain incident, especially the detected incident, could reflect business processes. So once a month meeting would be enough to show the importance of those means or funds which have been invested into the InfoSec tools. Another case of using specialized means like aggregating reports like a CM and other solutions, where you can get a lot of events and dashboards and nice, great, and green and light, yellow and green events, and to give the whole picture to the management like, okay, colleagues, we have detected and caught so many intrusion attempts. And also it's important in these reports to give the reports of the main companies, InfoSec companies, like the new methodologies of the hacking groups have been detected, maybe some tactics, maybe some malware. And in the next year, we have to plan, we have to scale up. We have to expand the nodes and maybe implement the new ways of protecting our information. And fortunately or unfortunately, it should be in parallel with your day-to-day work and have to be in line with current legislation. Maybe very hard to do, but still. And I think one of the most important thing here is to make sure that this language that the head of the information security department would not be simple about the number of attacks and the red or green buttons and stuff, but it's the way how they communicate, what kind of money, what kind of business processes have not been interrupted because we set up the system in the right way in our company, and how is it really impacted, had a positive impact on the business, how much money we have saved, how much time and resources we have saved and safeguarded, because information security is an element of insurance, I would say, right? But since things happen in life, let's put it this way, it's important also to talk about that. Another question is that now we have this battle, and I'm seeing how the different industries, have been intruded. And here at the conference, at the standoff, we can see different attacks. We have simulated attacks, and which attacks have been successful, which have been not. And could you please tell us, even on the stands right now here at the conference, while IT technologies are passing some attacks, and let's say the letter with the code is actually reaching the target, would you launch launch this malware? You mean me personally? No, I mean the guys who are actually keeping the stands. No, I cannot talk for the guys, but if they're playing the role, unfortunately, by the way, if they're playing the role of just a regular user, I would say that yes, they may be opening this message. In this case, what I would like to finish up my presentation with is it is very important, and I think it's also the part of the day-to-day operations of the information security guys, some kind of education. We can do the in-house kind of courses, but we have to educate our users with a real real kind of cases, with the real checks. This would be the zero frontier of our battle. How often do you have this kind of gamified situations in the companies you are working with? I mean, to make sure that the users actually stepped on the landmine, but today you are lucky, but this mine has been laid by our guys just to test you. It is not a real hackers. When we do different kind of analysis of protection, it's one of the classical scenario, both in our company and no number of other companies which have been involved in developing and implementing some training courses for the users in information security. How often do they step on these landmines, like you've mentioned it, in 90% of cases, because there are a huge number of the social engineering methodology, not necessarily some letters with attachments. You simply come to the office of a company. For example, if you're a courier, you put on the tables branded flash drives, and somebody may take these flash drives and will stick them into their computer. This could be one of such ways of how you can get the malware onto somebody's workstations. Number of companies doing that, actually. And after that, this information about the incidents would go to suppliers of these kind of services, to the users, to their hands, and to get information. Hey, this kind of employees, they are neglecting certain steps of information security. They are not very vigilant, and we recommend them to go through this kind of basic course, or let's pay attention to them, or use certain sanctions against these people. About 10 years ago, when I'd been working in banking with an information security department, we had some kind of training simulation. We've built a separate resource, like a Wi-Fi hotspot resource. We called it like a free. And we've simply downloaded the piece of the website, like as a picture, and put like two fields, the login and password. It turned out that by the end of 1 week of this Wi-Fi hotspot, free hotspot, we've collected about 80% of the data from the top management of the company. Like some of them came in, they signed up as a user, and of course, and then it's very simple. From this resource, we would throw the VPN channel, and they thought, hey, I'm working in the network. And they didn't even think about going to their security department. I think this kind of gamified training, there could be eye-opener for many users, better than any regulations, better than any like formal training. And my next question is, according to your own statistics, 73% of industrial companies in the Russian regions, they do not disclose any information about the cyber incidents, and if we get information about some incidents, it may take a while, especially there could be a risk for a different attack, another attack. How to do it, how to collect this information about the cybersecurity situation. I got it because the information security community in Russia is quite closed for many years, and information about the leaked incidents may not publicize, and sometimes if it will be publicized, many people lose their jobs, and I think that our advice as vendors is connected to different services, exchanging feeds, connecting to the closed communities, and monitor in the open and semi-open information about new vulnerabilities and new attacks, timely patch management, and you can use the more commercialized pathways, maybe connected to some vendors and some suppliers, or to go to more economical way, which will be free, but it may require a lot of human hours, human efforts, like monitoring a lot of open information sources, and update your own software, monitoring events, and it takes a lot of trained employees. And unfortunately, in case of even big regional industrial companies, not all of them may have this kind of this many people for information security. So I would say that outsourcing would be the right way to do. And then my final question. Speaking about your own research in 2020, about half of the polled respondents, they could find their malware within their systems, even if the trespassers were moving within the network and using specialized tools. This activity was detected very, very seldomly, by 10% of professionals. The lack of this kind of threats, it's a model problem, it's a money problem, or is it a qualification problem? Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's everything, because the lack of the budget puts a lot of limitation to you on the kind of the tools that you're buying. The lack of money impacts on the number of employees in the safety and security, and I think it's all about money. And of course, the budgets, the money are defined because oftentimes those IT security guys, they do not even escalate these identified cases to their higher-ups, to the management of the company. But still, they are responsible. Yeah. Of course, they are responsible for all those incidents, because this InfoSec director in the company will be responsible. Like, yeah, you did not convince us. You did not convince us. This is why we did not give you the money. And you are still responsible for preventing the incidents. What kind of free tools to upgrade qualification you may be using in your company to give additional knowledge to your partners and to your employees in your companies? Yes, Alexander, in 2020, of course, very unfortunately, this whole thing moved to online, but this online does not give you a verbal contact with your audience, especially if these are like a technical professionals, that we show them how the solution works, what kind of incidents are happening, of how a certain incident can be identifiable, what kind of filters and widgets you may be using. But nevertheless, we've had 3 partner training sessions for the operations in this contact discovery. We have a one sandbox training session and another training session for our customers who have bought the network attack discovery product. We had a 3-day course about operating this module. And our expert has been teaching this course, and it was quite informative, I believe. And I think we are going to decompose this record and spread it to any of our clients. It has happened a couple of weeks ago. I mean, this training session. Well, thank you very much indeed for your great presentation. It was interesting to communicate with you. Dear colleagues, we have the next hour in our stand. We are taking a break right now, and we're going to meet again at 4 o'clock. And the next presentation will be just a repetition of the morning session. If you did not have a chance to attend our sessions on Sandbox and Discovery, this will be the chance for you to connect again and to hear and listen again these presentations. Wishing you a wonderful day, and once again, you are welcome to join us at 4 p.m. And in the evening, we'll have a great quiz. We're going to draw different prizes, and each of you potentially can get it if you'll give right answers, which are part of our presentations. Wishing you a great day, and you're welcome to join us in the second half of the day. All the best.